Hello. Welcome, welcome. Well, welcome everyone. Happy Thursday. Hi, my name is EmilyHanhan. This is my dear friend and co-host Audra at home.
Hello.
Hello. Uh, and I just want to first of all start out with the general housekeeping. It's so important every time. Thank you to everyone that's here watching live. Thank you to everyone that's active in the chat and the lurkers. And thank you to everyone watching on replay. There is a live chat that is usually available to watch and read along if you so desire, but we also try to make it listener friendly. And we appreciate anyone here now and on replay because I know that it's not always watching lives on replay isn't for everyone. Thank you to all of the mods that are on my channel, on Audra's channel, and do amazing work here. And thank you to patrons and YouTube members of both of our channels as well, because y'all literally make our world go round. At least mine, I think.
You do.
And I'm gonna do some quick hellos for people in the chat. I see Gabby was here first, or at least first in the chat, I'm just gonna say. And Allie and Cecily and Nancy. And hello to Liz and Fefe and Miss Jelly. I love that name. I don't recognize that one. And
New.
and Harper and Chloe and Casey, aka hashtag Heathen.
We
And
also got like the best autocorrect I've ever seen. It was like, hi, hostage heathen. And I was like, that's amazing.
I saw that and I was like, that's gotta be spelled correct. And we have Day, Legally Black Beauty in the house. If you ever need swatches, like of indie makeup in particular, legallyblackbeauty.com. I'm just gonna and on Instagram, but like the website, top. Um, but thank you to everyone. Like I said, if you're not active in the chat, you are still very welcome. We extend our love and welcoming and energy to you as well. And we are here every Thursday on my channel and Tuesday on Audra's channel, talking about a whole slew of different topics. But tonight we wanted to talk about KVD and Kendo Beauty. So I realized actually last week, also on my channel, we talked about Becca and the closing of Becca and kind of what that meant for the industry and possible future things for of other brands. And KVD kind of conversations have been kind of happening around the same time. And I want to quickly shout out Millie, Bad to the Brow, did a great video about design when it comes to and rebranding when it comes to KVD and other makeup brands because they are a full-time professional graphic designer. And it got me thinking. And then last night we were talking about this. Oh, thank you, Cecily.
Thank you.
Oh no, Chloe. Thank you, Chloe. But the thing that the reason, like, besides it just being kind of like a hot topic, as Audra has so perfectly said, but was we started talking about Kendo because Kendo Brands owns KVD among other brands. And when I looked at a couple of the brands in their brand list, I was like, oh, this is for me, it felt deeper than just KVD. And I was like, this is even juicier than I thought it was. So that's kind of what inspired, but this makes me think of that thing that you shared, which I don't even watch that. I hadn't even watched that movie, but that was check Audra's Instagram story if you want clarification on what we're talking about.
My IG stories are lit, yo.
Yes, they are. So that was kind of where I was like, yes, let's do this. Where that came from, but you kind of came to me with the impetus to talk about this, Audra. Do you want to like, I don't know where we want to start. Do you want to jump into what you were kind of thinking, or do we want to just talk like about what's actually happening? Because I don't know if
I,
everyone knows.
I don't know. I guess what else? I'll just start out by saying this is a prime example of the fact that so many brands are stuck in old ways and are not able to move and are not like I feel like we're this is the real reason we're going to see a lot of brands fail is because they don't know how to move in today's quickly moving and changing society. So it's
Yeah.
like when you watch what happened with KVD, and if you watched Millie's video, who's very eloquent, says it very well. But one of the things that they bring up is talking about brand equity. And I don't think brands understand that brand equity today isn't what it was 20 years ago. You can do so many changes and we roll with the punches and it doesn't affect us. Like as consumers, we don't get
Yes.
affected like we used to. Used to, if you were to try to change the packaging and the labeling and all of this stuff for KVD to get it out of the Kat Von D realm, yeah, it would have fucked some shit up. However, 2021 finds people watching a 60-second video on TikTok. We're okay with you making a change. And I think brands have gotten stuck in this old way of like, people aren't going to know what to do. If we change it, we're going to lose all of our people. I'm like, no, you're really not. We're so used to things changing.
And here's what I'm going to say is if you my like grandiose sweeping statement is that if you lose those kind of customers, you probably didn't want them in the first place.
Yeah.
But Tia asked if we could give a quick run through. So if you don't know, the original owner or creator
Yes.
of KVD, Kat Von D, was ousted out of the company for many reasons of why she is a terrible, and terrible is an understatement, terrible word, person, not word. But that happened, what, 2 years ago, a year ago? And they said, okay, we are going to rename it to Kindness Vegan Doing Good. Like they were keeping the KVD. And so that's why
Yeah.
sometimes if you hear people joking about it, they'll be like, Kindness Vegan Beauty Doing Well, Beauty, blah, blah, blah. Just because I felt like they threw in like 10 words to try to make the three initials make sense without changing the packaging.
Yes.
Um, and then in the last couple of weeks, they announced
I
that
think
they was it
this week
last
or
week?
last week?
I think it was late, yeah, last week, because it was right around the same time the Becca news came out. So
Yeah.
last week, they announced that they were rebranding, where the font has changed because it was like a whole tattoo inspired makeup line. Supposedly they're still keeping the tattoo inspiration, but now KVD stands for Cara Veritas Decor,
Yeah, I didn't know.
or and it's Latin for supposedly like
Like
truth,
truth and
beauty, and goodness or something.
what's so good about peace, love, and understanding? Like that's what it made me think of is that song.
Yes. So and the big thing that has been talked about from basically okay, in the beauty sphere, and I call it the beauty nerd sphere. In the beauty nerd sphere, as a lot of us were like, just change the initials from not just this last rebrand, but from before. It's like change the initials so that it's not standing for Kat Von D,
Mm-hmm.
because the attempt to change the name felt so try hard and just it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
um and so then when this new rebrand came around last week, it was even more like, wait, this was the time to change the initials. This was the time. Kendo Vegan Beauty, KVB. All you have to do is you add a little bit of a little curvy V in the middle of the D, and you
Yeah.
change. You could keep the same typography. You could like, so I feel like every move that Kendo is trying to make with this brand to try to save money on packaging, save money on like making it not too different, but just it just felt like you're missing there is the point, and you're just ducking your head to let because it's trying to smack you in the face, and you're actively ducking to miss it.
Yes.
That's what it feels like. So this kind of turned into this whole conversation we were having about the layers to this, and your perspective from your industry background and my perspective from my background and other, influences that we had. And I just felt like, okay, let's talk more about this. Like,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, I definitely look at it as, what was it, the sixth thing? So if you Google Kat Von D, like, or KVD, whatever it is, I think like the fifth and sixth things refer to Kat Von D and the things that they've done. And even one of them I think one of them is them saying, I wish they would just stop using my initials. And the other, like the whole plethora of things that came down as to why people don't want to use it. And
yeah,
having worked for a company before that, and no, it wasn't a makeup company, it wasn't beauty, but it is a very large company and it owns a lot of shit that people don't know that they own, like a lot of hotel chains, car rentals, all kinds of shit. I worked for them for 7 or 8 years, and they had to change their name, and they made the choice to do so because there was a very large accounting scandal, like one of the biggest accounting scandals of the 90s. And they began to realize that, like, they could say it spun it as many ways as they could within the company, but the realization was the world had changed and the internet had changed. And now every time people looked up the old company name, it constantly brought up that scandal. Now it's 10 years, like it's been a while since this scandal took place, several years, but every time you look up the company, there it was. And if you are looking at the reality of how often we Google things, not even in the sense of research, but just in, I want to go to the website and I don't know if it's just like katvond.com. So I'm just going to Google Kat Von D and then click on the makeup. Because I do that all the time. I do it with Tara Moons. I do it with Davina. I don't necessarily always just go to I just type it in the Google bar and then it starts pulling things up. Because I listen, I live in the world that I live in. So I think that there is like they had a realization that if they did not make this move, this thing was going to follow them, which was going to affect their ability to acquire other business, to acquire more business and all that stuff. And it does have pros and cons. And I don't think it's super easy, but I also think that this is indicative of brands still very much living in an old school hard print world. We are in a digital age. And I I am 40 years old. I'm going to be 41 next month. In this new digital age, you can change whatever the fuck you want. And most of us will go with it. Because most of it, what we're seeing is on our computers. We're ordering stuff online. Even though people do go in store, I'm not saying that they don't. A lot of us go into the store to check something out and buy it, and like, of course, Panda Express, but we would go into the store to check something out. But after that, you would just order online, so you did not have to worry about like trying to drive over there and all the hassle of this and all of this and all of that. And so in our digital age, I don't even notice when brands have changed things on their packaging. Like, they deliver this shit to me, I just open it up, grab my shit and move on. And I don't even notice. Like, it doesn't even
yeah.
like hit my sphere that they've changed something. I can get it 3 or 4 times before I'm like, oh, hey, they changed the box. That's how long it takes me to realize it, because I'm just used to like getting on, ordering it.
But I had a good kind of counterpoint to that where I was like, yes, I don't notice it when it's something I don't give a fuck about. But if it's something I care about, I tend to notice it. And what I care about could mainly just be beauty or I don't know, like specifically makeup is like my one like very specific hobby where I'm like, yeah, I would notice that. And
Yeah,
so my counterpoint, as we were talking about this last night, is like the company that you work for was not a retail company. They did not have a online storefront. They did
correct.
not have hashtags, as Cecily mentioned in the chat. Um, Redirecting all of your website. Traffic, redirecting, like reinvesting in all of that SEO in
Mhm.
terms of like rebuilding that. And so, and also then there's the repackaging and the rebranding and trademarks. Now, the packaging I feel less concerned about because I
Correct.
feel like they could slowly release, like all new products could have new packaging, and slowly phase it out. But the one problem that I find with that is that for cosmetics you can see the age. Now, none of us really know the age of anything, but
Yeah.
if we know that they've announced the rebranding 6 months ago and there's still product on the shelf or product you get in your order with that old packaging, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, no, 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 I'm returning this. I want something with new packaging. And even if the store says, well, we don't have anything with new packaging with this product, then they're like, well, I'm still returning it because it's old shit. So, like, that's why I was like, I can see all of the reasons why they haven't done it. And
Yeah.
that's why it's like, I agree that I think there are a lot of beauty brands. I think we saw it with Becca. We're seeing it with other brands that are stuck in this older mindset, even when they seem like an edgier, more modern brand.
Yeah.
But I think it's this weird fine line because I do think that a lot of us are adaptable,
Mhm.
but and thank you. That was Day that mentioned the hashtags. Thank you, Cecily. A lot of us are adaptable, but a lot of us are not. And so I can see how, so basically Day is about to say, so I think once a company is a certain size, rebranding makes less and less sense. For small brands like Menagerie, which used to be known as Makeup Monsters, they
Mhm.
can afford to lose that value. But that's true that a brand like, so my thought and the reason why this got juicy to me as we were talking about it is looking at the Kendo Brands page. I was like, oh wait, Kendo owns Bite Beauty. Kendo went through this before, and I'm pretty sure they lost big and they don't want to do that again. Because if you
Mhm.
didn't know, first of all, Bite has reformulated their line twice since I've been kind of bigger into beauty. So let's say the last generously 6 years. It's probably more like the last 4 years, but let's say the last 6 years. But the last rebrand they did, they sold through or clearanced out every bit of product they had to re-release it as vegan. They
Mhm.
still haven't, in my opinion, they haven't replenished the brand in the way that I expected, because I knew Bite as a lip focused brand, and some of their first rebranded products were foundation and powder, and then some weird shimmery lip crayons and like very dated stuff. So once I realized or was reminded that Kendo owns Bite, I was like, oh, Kendo doesn't want to do this again. Kendo already got royally messed up with Bite.
Yeah, and
And
I think it's
so
all in
with
how you
with
do it. Like, because here's the thing.
yeah.
I would totally agree with, like, I agree with what you're saying, Day. Here's the problem. Kat Von D is no longer at the company for very good reason. So if they continue to keep this KVD, it's always going to be Kat Von D. That's the issue that I see, that they're not seeing, or they do see and they don't care that other people who like Kat Von D or what, like whatever, people who just know it as Kat Von D. Here's the thing. I feel like today, one of the things we have to think about, especially with beauty, is like, we know how this shit goes. And I noticed that a lot of these brands are still working in a very old school way. And the reason I see that is because if you look at what happened with Amanda Inn thing and the Sephora thing, if you look at that, You can clearly tell that the people who contacted her to get this thing done just saw that she was trending. They didn't check to see what she was trending for. They just saw she was trending and invited her. This is the problem. Like there was an issue, I think last year or the year before last, Tati did an Amazon video, like a best of Amazon, basically had just looked and seen that Amazon was trending, didn't look what it was trending for. What was it trending for? They were going on strike. So
Yeah.
it didn't make
Which,
sense when
by
that
the way,
video
they currently are.
they are currently on strike
Yeah.
again. I have not bought a damn
Through
thing.
Saturday. Yeah.
So the issue
Oh,
that I'm seeing is brands are not paying attention to who and what and why. They're just going like, yeah, like this is popular. And then they're grabbing a hold of people. And so the thing is, they cannot afford for Kat Von D to fuck up again somewhere in the public sphere and have people
yeah.
calling for her head. And she doesn't even work there. Do you see what I mean? Like, and the initials are still KVD. So they don't even think about like those ramifications. If Kat Von D does or says something controversial, she's still, because they kept those initials, she's still intrinsically connected to them, and they are
Yeah.
not going to be able to, like, every time something happens, they're going to have a fucking statement being like, Kat Von D is no longer with the company, because again,
No,
everybody
not
got
just
check
no
marks.
longer. Kat Von D hasn't been with the company for a year,
Yes.
5 years, in years, like having to very clearly clarify that it's been a cutoff relationship. Also, vegan is popular because it's trendy, just like clean beauty is trendy.
Yes.
It's diet culture translated into makeup, different rant for a different day.
Yes.
And that's the thing. So Day says they're trying to change the commercial impression of the trademark without changing the trademark. They want people to understand KVD to mean something new, and with enough effort, they probably could for most people. I do think that they hired like tattoo beauty consultant. This is probably not the right title, but the person they brought on for that role actually looks pretty badass.
Yeah.
So it's annoying because I'm like, you could just twist this brand to be something else, tattoo beauty inspired, rather than but like I also understand the trademark part of it, and the
Mhm.
again the SEO, because so part of my work is related to SEO. And so I'm learning more as I'm working with this one company, because I'm getting more access to basically their information and documentation. But it's been very obvious from day one. I've been working with them for not quite 2 years, a year and a half ish, that like it's big business, and it's not to be fucked around with. So when Millie brought up the SEO part of it, I just hadn't
Mhm.
even thought, because I was like, if they change it to KVB, like how different, how hard could it be? But I actually have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think it is that intrinsic connection with the founder. And I think it's like, okay, so let's say I'm trying to think of somebody else that stepped away from their company that had their name attached. Bobbi Brown. Bobbi
Yes.
Brown did not leave their makeup company because of terrible racist things that
Correct.
they did. They got bought out and then they got pushed out, but they still use the name Bobbi Brown. That
Yeah.
feels very different to me than what's happening with KVD. And it's just like, I think I just think that unless they really unless they release some products that are super special to the market, they
Kinky
should
Valor Diamonds.
they just said they should change it to something completely left field, like kinky velour diamonds. I would buy kinky velour diamonds. I don't know why not, why I would, um but if they really release some unique to the market products and connected with the right marketing influencer thing, I could see them maybe getting some reestablished. If they released a palette that hit the market the way Mi Vida Loca Remix did, I don't
Yeah.
know if y'all remember that big. It looked like an album, and it was basically a rainbow and a neutral palette, but the colors were like in a circle. Like that was the thing that was my early days of beauty YouTube. And that was one of those palettes where I was like, even when I wasn't using how much color, I was like, oh, I wish I had bought that palette. Like it was like people's white whale for years. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Like
like
imagine somebody acquiring like or Jeffree Star's silent partners being like, yeah, we can't afford to have him be the front of it anymore. All they do is
yeah,
drop the Jeffree and they would just call it Star Cosmetics. I guarantee
yeah,
you. They would just drop
yeah,
the Jeffree and they'd be like, it's Star Cosmetics. And because it took a lot of work. So like again, I'm not this it wasn't a beauty company, but it had a lot of legs. They actually split off into several companies to make this shit work. But what I am going to say is it did take a lot of time and effort that they put into it to go through this change, to not only change the logo, to change all of these things. It was a lot of time and effort. It was a lot of
yeah,
money. But at the end of it, they're like now when you put in their current company name, or even if you put in the old company name, it redirects you to the new company like that. And it's been this for a long time. It's been,
yeah,
15 years, I think now is right. Yeah. It's been a really long time that they've changed their name. And so if you look at it from that perspective, it paid off in the long run. It was sucky
yeah,
to do at the time, but it paid off in the long run because anybody that they were trying to, like any companies that they were acquiring, any company that they were trying to do business with, they were no longer attached to this stigma that had happened with this huge accounting scandal. They
yeah,
weren't a part of that anymore. They're like, this is the new company and da da da. So like I think that, like you were saying, it's different with Bobby Brown. It's different with Iman. It's different with anybody who just didn't have anything terrible happen. And they're just like their company got bought out. They went on about their business or they were pushed
yeah,
up, whatever it was. But like nothing horrific went down. You
yeah.
have this whole slew of like ugliness that went down with Kat
Multiple
Von D.
things. It
It,
wasn't just one thing.
yeah,
And then
it
to
wasn't just
have had
it was like the
no
issues with Jeffree Star, the anti-Semitism, the person that they are with and how
and other
disgusting
people
they
they have
are.
been with.
Yes.
And I think also having had the year we've had with the Pandolce, the whole anti-vaccine stance is real. No coming back from that, in
Yeah.
my opinion. In my opinion, because even if there wasn't other things, I feel like, and the sad thing is that even though there was all these other things, it was the anti-vax stuff that
Yeah. It wasn't the
actually
racism and it wasn't the
no.
anti-Semitism. It was like people were like, oh, this racist ass bitch does not vaccinate her children. That's where I
Yeah,
draw the line. You be
and
racist, ma'am.
there was some real bad marketing with the cotton field
Yes.
and concealer. Um, but
And the
I just
Lolita.
oh yeah, well, I mean that whole brand was built on that. So there's a lot there, and like to think about like how does Kendo move forward? Again, I'm referencing Millie's video, but it made me think. So Millie mentioned like they could see Kendo kind of basically bringing in another brand, either creating one or I was thinking buying one that kind of competes with KVD. If the rebrand doesn't work, I could allegedly see them buying a brand like Melt
Mm-hmm.
and then giving Melt foundation formulas and all these formulas to release to basically be able to kill a brand like KVD without actually them having to do it, because they would still be getting sales. Because if they build up another brand to compete with KVD, then like I kind of think it's what Fenty is doing to Marc Jacobs in a teeny tiny bit of a
Yes.
way. And Marc Jacobs and Fenty Beauty are also, they're both owned by Kendo. Like,
Okay, you said the magic word, and now I've got to go look at the site. Continue.
because, and I say that because my two favorite eyeliner formulas, my two favorite pencil eyeliner formulas are the Marc Jacobs matte gel highliners and the
Mhm.
Fenty matte pencil flyliners, or whatever they're called.
And them liquid waterproof gel liners are the shit. I got one on right now, bitch.
So I mean, I don't necessarily think they meant to do that with Marc Jacobs and Fenty, but we've been talking about in a lot of new makeup nonsense and other videos and other live streams where we were like, what's going on with Marc Jacobs? And I mean, a lot of people have been saying that, but like,
For like,
they
are we hitting
they
a year now that we've been like,
a
is it still going to be
year,
around?
because I feel like I don't want to say you found them then, but I felt like it was about a year ago when you were like, oh bitch, the lipsticks, and I was like, right, or like, you
Yes,
know,
their lipsticks are fire. Like the liners are amazing. The liners
Audra's
make me.
activation word is Marc
Yes.
Jacobs. Yeah,
Like I'm like, Marc Jacobs? Listen, it's so weird because their products are actually really I have on Marc Jacobs foundation right
I think
fucking now.
they're
Do you
pretty.
see this flawless ass base, bitch?
I
Sorry, I'm
think
sorry.
they're hit and miss. But I also think Fenty is hit and miss. I said this to Audra last night, and I've said it in videos before. I haven't said it exactly this way, but if Fenty wasn't a Rihanna brand, I don't think Fenty would be able to keep standing on their 50-50 trash and good releases.
Yeah. I mean, they could
Because
if they were like fucking stuck on KVD, they could call it killer vegan dolls.
Killer Vegan Delight. I don't know.
Yeah, killer
Whatever.
vegan dolls, like, and then they could put like little evil dolls on everything and keep the spooky aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I'd be like,
Yeah.
ooh, vegan dolls.
Yeah, Maisha said they should have totally changed KVD into a spooky witchy brand. That's the thing I say. I think if they leaned more into it, like
Yes.
a grown up Necromancy Cosmetica. Not that Necromancy Cosmetica isn't grown up, but they're a small indie brand. Necromancy Cosmetica is a small indie brand based in Puerto Rico, and they
Yeah.
have like the kind of gothic witchy vibes to them. Um, but yeah, I just think it's interesting to think once I started looking at the brands that Kendo has, I was just like, I think that company as a whole needs
Yeah.
help.
Because,
Like,
like, what did I say to you? I was like, they need to stop listening to this like 60-year-old white man from like who took marketing in 1972 and is just like telling everyone, like, oh, yeah. Because here's the thing. I think a lot of brands, and this is not just them, I think a lot of brands really are out of touch with how to market today because you saw that with Becca that they
yeah,
tried to like go back on like this celebrity thing, but they didn't even know what celebrities truly to go back to and like who
yeah,
they should be talking to. Like they legitimately just see like that, those just missteps with who they were in touch with. They're like, they're trending on
yeah.
Twitter. I'm like, but
Oh,
nobody likes them. And
yeah.
then
That was the thing. I was like, brands are picking celebrities that are trending right now because they think they can see the dollar signs, but the
Mhm.
reality is that they're not looking ahead. They're not
Yeah.
saying who is the trendsetter, who is the person on TikTok or the person over here, or who is the person that somebody like James Charles is trying to be friends with, because that's what people like that do. Um, but like they're not being willing to take a risk,
Mhm.
and I think that and they're not doing the work or investing in the kinds of research, trend prediction people that could help them find those influencers or celebrities.
I'm like I just started laughing because like I was wearing that Fenty foundation with my dry ass skin.
Yeah. Oh, Caffeine Sarcasm put it well. Video killed the radio star. These companies never evolved. Oh, this is a
Exactly.
good question. Tia has a great question. Who would you choose as a trendsetter to promote a beauty product right now?
It depends on what the trend is.
But you could pick the person and then make a trend for it.
Me! No, I'm just kidding. Listen. Like, because I'm always doing like just these random, like I'll randomly show up. Thank you, day. I think here's the thing. Bright, beautiful colors, fantastic.
So
I
good.
think we need to show more dark-skinned women. And let me be clear that I don't want them to all look like Lupita Nyong'o. No, like gorgeous.
But you don't have to go to that extreme.
But it's
Like,
not even the extreme. That is still a very it still meets the Eurocentric standards of beauty. And therefore, it's very specific. When they choose dark-skinned women, it's almost like has that Eurocentric standard, bald, very dark-skinned, and I feel like it's just I've seen that. I want to see people like my skin tone wearing shit, wearing the bright colors. I want more of the like dark goth aesthetic.
Deja has one of the things I was thinking was like Megan the Stallion deserves someone better than Revlon. Okay, sorry, continue because you were saying good things.
Because what's happening is brands are also still stuck in this idea of like they think diversity is we have an Asian and 2 blacks and a Latina. We're doing great. Like that and that's how they feel about it. They're like, no, do you understand? We have an Asian. Hello.
And
we
Asian.
have 2 blacks. 2 blacks in this camp. 2 blacks. And we also have a Latina.
And it's more likely that Latina has a deeper skin tone than the 2 blacks. I'm just gonna say.
Thank you. Because somebody even looks and goes, are you sure those are blacks? Yes, they're light-skinned. Does that really help our brand? Listen, they're black and that's all that matters. So it just like turns very much into a like, I want to see like wide noses and big motherfucking nostrils. Like listen, I know that it's a weird thing, but like a lot of dark-skinned women and people
you want to see yourself.
Yeah.
And more than just like what you've seen a million times over. I don't think it's weird. I should say that.
And I don't want to see the nose contoured down to a skinny bench nose. I not contour my fucking nose because like this is the nose that I was born with. And I don't feel the need to try to pretend that my nose is like this.
Like I want to see that nose blushed. So it's like, yes, I have a motherfucking nose. I don't know.
So it's just
I just like blush on my nose.
I feel like if they're trying to get, I feel like right now, if I was doing marketing and looking at things, like when you look at the way that a lot of these situations have been handled, it's like nobody has figured out that, like, one, you need to respond to a situation within 12 hours. You have 12 hours to like fucking fix this thing. And I don't think that they have like marketing and think groups and all of this working fast enough to make this shit happen. Right.
Yeah.
So like when something goes down, they're not responding fast enough. And when they are responding, it's a half-ass response, which I get it. Like the world it's moving a little fast and you're trying to like get this shit together. But the issue is they don't have people who are well-versed in being prepped for that. Being prepped for when you have, you know, some influencer repping your shit and then the floodgates open and everybody's like, did you not know that this person is transphobic as fuck? Like da 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 da. And everybody comes after. You have to have people ready to fix this because I think they're used to like the old school Hollywood thing where PR teams would talk.
Here's the thing. It's not that complex. It's templates and game plans.
Yes.
It's literally, and this sounds like it's reducing big fucked up things to simple things, and that's not what I mean at all. But it's, if transphobia happens, if homophobia happens, if racism happens, if sexism happens, and having template apologies with fill in the blanks where you can put more detail and show a little empathy, but that would take no more than an hour at most to customize. Like, I've also worked in social media with much smaller brands, but I know like that you have to be ready, and just like how you can have stock templates for email responses, you can have stock emergency plans. And once you get past, I don't know, 50,000 fans, I would say, on social media, you should have them ready to go. Once you start working with influencers, whatever that means, celebrities, internet people, whatever, you should have those ready to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, because like Deja saying, crisis PR is truly a lost art. So, because here's the thing: when they were
Yes.
dealing with celebrities, right? This is where the issue with influencers does pop up, because when you're dealing with a celebrity, let's say you're dealing with like Meg Ryan or some shit, and something happens, you had a good month to fix this situation, because it just didn't, the news didn't travel the way it does now. You didn't have the internet to immediately, Twitter didn't blow everything up, YouTube videos weren't being made about the situation, Instagram stories weren't being posted. Like literally something happens and it's hit the fucking waves within 3 hours of this shit going down. It's everywhere. Listen, I have zero interest in what went down with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and that whole royal kerfluffle, but you bet your ass I saw the minute everybody watched it. I literally watched the minute people saw it.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't watch it,
moves.
but I was like, wait, what interview? Like, it was just like my entire Twitter, and I don't even check into Twitter as much as I actually like Twitter, but I don't. Anyway, but that night I happened to be on, and I was like, interview, and then I saw like, and then I would see like Meghan or Harry mention, and then other people saying the interview without saying the names, and my brain was just like, all the wires were firing, and I was like, oh,
what happened? Like, I feel like I was the only one who, one, didn't know it was happening, and two, didn't know it had happened. And then I saw it, right?
Like, yeah.
But back in the olden days, you had like several weeks or a month to like get whatever if Revlon could talk to, like Revlon's PR would talk to Meg's PR, they would like figure out how to fix the situation, and everybody had time to like work through it and work on Meghan with fake crying or whatever they needed to do to get her in the element for her apology and Revlon's apology, and then they continued to work together, right? They were like, Revlon realizes that blah 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 blah, and Meghan would be like, I'm so sorry that I misrepresented Revlon like this, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody would just keep going. But now, when shit happens, you don't have weeks to try to fix it. And a lot of influencers don't have PR teams. So what's happening is the brand is taking the brunt of the situation. And on top of that, a lot of influencers don't know how to shut the fuck up.
And
don't know how to shut the fuck up and make the situation worse on the internet. Yeah.
I love your voice. I'm sorry. But also, a lot of influencers they have more partnerships with more brands. They might not be in the realm of like celebrity endorsements, but technically, if somebody has affiliate codes with brands, if they've done sponsored videos recently or sponsored IG posts or IG stories or TikToks or whatever, and some shit goes down, I feel like then all of these, Tina about to hit 100,000 subscribers. I'm gonna say it every time you're in this chat. If you are in this chat and you're not subscribed to the fancy page, you need to get your ass over to the channel right now. There's no excuses. Okay.
Bring the action. When you get up on this channel, you need to subscribe to Tina. Subscribe to Tina. Subscribe to Tina. I got weird. Don't leave me alone.
I love it. But I just feel like when you are an influencer and you're affiliated with different brands, that then all of these brands, I feel like there's a pressure for all of the brands to say something or do something, you know?
Mhm.
It's not just, and rather than the influencer just having PR team and handling it, they are fucking up. And then now a dozen, 2 dozen, whatever brands have comments on their IG, have tweets to them, have DMs, have emails,
Yes.
have shit going on. And I first of all, I also think that if you past, I would say, 1 million subscribers, that you should
Mhm.
have at least a PR person on call.
Yeah.
I don't know the finances of that. I don't
I
fucking
have no
know.
idea.
Y'all can tell me that I'm totally wrong, but I just think that it's a more, like, the webs are more interconnected now because it's lower stakes but higher stakes. Like, more brands can get away with being affiliated with more influencers because it costs them less money than just having one celebrity spokesperson. But that means instead of having one or five celebrity spokespeople, you have 50 influencer spokespeople. And
Yes.
so now you have to be watching all 50 of them because who knows what would happen? Who knows what could happen? So
Yeah.
it's more complex, which is also kind of why I can understand how um like how it's harder for these brands to kind of keep up with the changes in a way.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I feel like it's like you said, it's multi-tiered, right? It's not something we're obviously going to solve, and I don't work for any of these brands.
No.
But I think if I were to be able to talk directly to brands, I would be like, listen, what you need to do is you need to give PR to people for a while. I don't care who you fucking give it to, just give it to them for a while. Check on their fucking videos. Have people making sure that they're not pieces of shit, before you start doing like brand deals and whatever.
Honestly, it's
Really
like,
check into them.
just go into Reddit, go into, like, Google their name. Google
Yes.
their name plus Reddit or their name plus Guru Gossiper. Yes, those forums are trash, and you should never look up the forums if you are a creator or influencer of any sort. And you should also never send anything you see on these forums to creators or influencers you follow.
Fact.
That's
Do not
fucked up.
send that
Don't
shit to
do
me.
that.
I don't want to know whether
Don't
it's
send
good or
it to
bad.
me. Don't send it
I
to
don't want to know.
Audra. Don't send it to people that are our friends, like Teresa, like Lacey, like Tina, like none of us. I don't care. Don't do it.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
I'm
ever want to
I'm
know.
voicing for them. Um, but as a brand owner, or as somebody with a brand, you can have an employee do that research. And as somebody that also, like, does Google's a lot of shit for work and for life, I'm like, you can find out a lot of information in a half hour to an hour. That's
Yeah.
not that much money to invest to have somebody look into these things. So,
Yeah, so I
um,
think the brands that aren't going to survive, and we're going to see a lot of these brands. I think a lot of brands, like even like Estee Lauder and whatnot, that like own other shit. I feel like a lot of their tentacles, they're going to fold some of these tentacles up into like the
yeah,
same shit. They're just gonna like pull it up and do because what they're not paying attention to is how quickly the market changes, and they're not equipped to do it, and they need to get equipped to do it. They need to start hiring the people who are around when the internet began and were like fucking with it, like my old ass. They need to start hiring people who know how to like move on the internet in a way, because like their whole like, remember how much we were all making fun of brands trying to like meme like their people, and we're just like, and it was just like them being like, I am not a robot. And so like it very much, it gave that like, howdy kids, like howdy fellow teenagers, like weird energy. So you're just like, yeah, like what is up? We're not doing the drugs, are we? Oh, we're doing the drugs. We're doing the drugs. Like whatever it is, like it very much gives like that old guy 21 Jump Street energy. So it's like, I need brands to start hiring people who know how the internet moves and paying them good money, because these people will save your ass. Like, these people will be like, listen, here's a problem. Audra can be slightly outspoken. So just know when we're working with her, they
Or
can like so you got to be
also,
prepped for the fact
also
they're gonna be
like Audra can be slightly outspoken and doesn't like this kind of product, so don't send them those products.
Thank you.
But Tina has a lot of good points. So Tina said, to be fair, the sponsorship I've gotten from larger brands are from PR companies that do background research for the brand and are outside of the brand. The PR companies are to blame.
Yeah.
And then she continues, the PR companies are the ones that make the proposals between influencers and brands. The brands are mostly hands off.
Yeah.
I do think that, like, I think that that's an unfortunate layer to this that we aren't always talking about. And I think it's because I still think of, like, I think of things in reference to smaller brands where I kind of have a better sense of, like, the brands are the ones that are reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize that when you get to a certain size, the Becca size, I guess the KVD size, the Fenty, like that was the thing with the Amanda Instinct Sephora thing, is that it wasn't Sephora that did that partnership.
Oh,
It was
baby.
a PR company that had Sephora as one of the brands under their umbrella.
Yeah.
Also, yes, the Steve Buscemi meme is what I was thinking about when you were like, "Hello, kids."
Hello,
But
fellow
yeah,
teenagers.
yes, hello, fellow
I cannot
teenagers.
wink. Don't come at me.
I wink. I always feel like I wink like the mom from Arrested Development.
I wink like I have
Like,
some developmental issues that I have not gotten past. I'm
but
like,
yeah,
is
I
one
just
eye
think it's
closed and one eye open? Is one eye closed and one eye? How about now? Like, that's how I wink.
but I think but then this is a bigger conversation too, because these PR companies that are handling all these different brands, it's like these brands should be expecting more from these PR companies.
They should. And see, like, because here's the thing that people don't realize. Like, when you start doing YouTube, first of all, somebody should have told me I needed a law degree and a marketing degree and a finance degree. Like, these are all things
Yes.
that I wish I had known, because you're doing a lot of this by yourself, and trying to, like, negotiate pricing when people, like, I've had perfume companies lately been coming and be like, oh, we want to do a sponsored content with you, and I'm like, I can't do that. And it's not because I don't want the money. I like money, but it's because I'm like, I don't fucking talk about perfume on my channel.
Yeah.
That's weird to me. Like, I wear it and occasionally I might talk about, like, my scented rollers or what, but it's not like a constant thing that I'm doing. So I'm like, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like wading through the fake shit, because there's so much fake stuff that comes through that's like, hello, friend. We see your stuff on the YouTube. Like, we think you are so beautiful and great. We would like to work with you.
Or it's like, hello, insert blank, and they forgot to fill in the blank. But I wanted to say, like, about the PR companies, it makes me think of, I haven't worked for, like, a big corporation in probably almost a decade now, but I still remember, and it makes me think of this. They can be really fucking bad about actually keeping track of budget, of money used. And so these PR brands are getting away with being shit at their work, or having unpaid interns, like I think Deja mentioned, doing their work. And it's not until the end of the quarter or the end of the year where a big brand like an Estee Lauder is like, what the fuck? This brand has been losing all this money, or, like, they're not keeping track of that in the moment. And so it's just, it also shows the kind of dinosaur nature of big brands, and this is with fashion, this is with beauty, this is with a lot of them. Like, when you see these big, like, I think of things in a lot of relation to fashion, because it's something I studied in college, and I still remember and this was even like in the midst of the movie Devil Wears Prada, but kind of before and after, like seeing the timeline of something from the high couture runway to like Walmart. And so like a brand that's somewhere in the middle, like a high-end department store brand, they could still be 2 years behind the runway. It could take 2 years for it to filter down to that. That's how slow they work. That's kind of
Yes.
like how slow things go. So I just feel like these really big corporations, I think what you said is right. I think a lot of these corporations that have a lot of, I love how you said tentacles, are going to start folding them up and consolidating and having one line with a bigger product range that's kind
Yeah.
of incorporated the best of other little lines. Like again, whoever owns Stila, whether it's Estee or whatever, I could see some other brand releasing the Stila glitter and glows and the rest of Stila closing up. I could see Estee repurposing the Becca highlighters in a different brand that they own. So I think that the big corporation
Woefully behind.
timeline is just woefully behind. Yeah.
So behind. And I do worry about this because here's the thing. I think one of the reasons I say we don't really blink, I'm going to say that I might rephrase that as a lover of indie beauty, I don't blink because a lot of times,
Yes.
and if you're like a food aficionado as well, a lot of times
Mhm.
a restaurant seems to like go out of business, but it's reopened under the same people with a different name. It's the same kind of food too. They're
Yeah.
like this happens in Texas all the time.
Happens in New
Tex-Mex
York
restaurants
too.
were literally like closed down and then they reopen it. Same food. It's the same food. It's the same people.
Tax evasion.
Well, and
It
like the
happens in New
thing is,
York
like
a lot
especially
too.
with there's tax evasion, and here another part is like for one reason or another, the other one was failing, and they were like, it's just the name, it's the name of the joint, and then they
Yeah,
just
or
like
that.
close it, and then
Yeah.
they reopen it with a new name, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, bruh, and like that's the thing that we're used to. So we're used to like if you are into indie beauty, you've seen this happen multiple times where you have watched an indie beauty brand come and like then you're like, oh, it's gone, and then it's not gone, they renamed it to something else,
Yeah.
and sometimes it is gone, but a lot of times they just
Yeah.
like try it again with a different brand name and a different image, and they just move on, and they don't sit and like keep trying to force this thing to happen. And if you
Yeah.
look at like Becca, they kept just trying to make fetch happen, and I like
Well,
Becca, but they
yeah.
kept trying to make, they were like, look, we got more highlighter. I was like, bitch, focus on your motherfucking skin, love. This was
Well,
good shit.
and the thing is too is like there are owners like Cover FX. The owner of Cover FX, the old owners now have a different line. So they sold
Yep.
it off and they've opened something else up. So like there are ways to just like keep moving within the industry, but kind of move past what you've established. I wouldn't mind that job, to be honest, to be able to establish a brand, kind of establish a range of products, a range of colors, formulas, get it kind of set up, and then sell it off and do it again with a different perspective. So yeah, KVD is trying to make fetch happen, and I feel like they should just let it go.
They should. And
The
the bomb.
bomb should
I
have been long
remember when I
dead.
used to like love the bomb, and then I was just like, heh. Like that.
Yeah,
You know that
it
sound that
happened
turtles
real
make when
quick.
they're like doing it, and they're like, I did that one too many times, and I apologize.
That is the last dying breath of a lot of brands out there. And on that note,
yes, on the weird turtle sex noises, I'm just gonna go hide in a corner somewhere so no one can see me. Also, side note, to whomever sent me this like moon prism highlighter, like fucking thank you. Look at that glow, bitches.
too, right? Some lethal powders too.
Oh, I'm wearing it too. Whoever sent me the lethal, like I'm wearing that too. Thank you. Y'all are too kind, and I feel like weird, and emotions. What are
Emotions are
those?
good. Emotions are good. I'm gonna continue to say that to you. Uh, but yes, if I just want to say, if y'all enjoyed this live, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to Audra, I don't know where you've been, but you should go subscribe. I didn't say this at the beginning. All of our info is in the description box. We have Patreons and YouTube memberships and Venmos and Cash Apps and
And if you're not
PayPals.
subscribed to Tina, please do so. I don't want to
Yes.
cast ugly spells. I've been casting good spells for the most part to listen. My goal
We're
has been to
manifesting,
hit
manifesting.
100K. Okay. I said it
Yes.
out loud last year.
Here's what we're going to say. My goal is 100K for Tina ASAP and 10K for your birthday, Audra.
10K for my birthday. 10K for my birthday.
So we will be back on Tuesday. Do you think might we come back with some real
No,
world?
wait, no. Tuesday we won't be here.
We won't? Okay.
No.
Okay. I forget things. I don't remember things.
Yeah, Tuesday we won't be here.
Okay. Well, we'll be back next week though. We'll
But we'll
announce
be
it.
back.
I'll do a community post because
Yeah.
I forget things.
Please be.
But no. Oh wait, I also wanted to add because we mentioned it a couple times in the stream. And maybe Tina No, Tina didn't remind me. I remember it. A brand that I'm still side-eyeing because they mentioned Amanda Ensing in a post for International Women's Day and then took it down and reposted it. Makeup Geek. Yeah. So on that note, we're gonna be salty bitches off camera now.
Salty bitches.
Yes, please take care of yourself. I've been saying lately, take care of yourself today better than you did yesterday, and do the same thing tomorrow. Otherwise, someone in here might come for your soul.
It's gonna be me. I have so many, and they're
It
well
just
taken
keeps growing. It keeps growing. And have a good night, everyone. We will see you all next week. Bye.